Hey guys, good afternoon. Hopefully some of you guys can catch it live. If not, no big deal. Hopefully you guys can catch the replay here. I will post so that you can catch the replay at any point in time. It's not going to go away, so it will be on our Palm Harbor and Burn Largo Athletes page whenever you can have an opportunity to catch it. So guys, today is the first week. What's up, Jackie? Today is the first deep dive on our nutritional Nail Your Nutrition Challenge. So I wanted to take the time to focus on mindset. I will also go over reading labels, but I did primarily want to just make sure that we all have the right mindset going into this challenge and having all the tools needed to be successful. What's up, Peppers? What's up, Shauna? So, first thing I want you guys to think about is, what is your why? What's up, Kim, Amy, and Melissa? So, and that needs to not be necessarily relative to your short-term goals. I know it's easy to say, I want to change my diet habits because I want to try and lose 10 pounds and look great in a bikini, right? That's the easy kind of on the surface answer, but I want you guys to really dig deep and think about that more compelling reason that's gonna keep you going when times get tough, and something like a superficial reason like just wanting to lose 10 pounds to look nice in a bikini, that might not keep you going. But what's gonna keep you going, and I kind of touched on it whenever we did the kickoff the other day, is thinking about those longer term goals. Do we want to live vitally? Do we maybe have some family members that have suffered with Alzheimer's or dementia or diabetes, and we don't want to live that kind of a life? We want to be thriving well into our 80s and our 90s, okay? So if we want it, think about those reasons related to, your close circle of friends and family. Maybe we have kids that we want to live long for. Maybe we have cancer that runs in our family and we don't want to repeat history, okay? So all of these things that I'm challenging you with in this Nail Your Nutrition Challenge are going to help you live vitally, help you stay cancer-free. But I want you guys to take a moment and think about, what is that real why? What is that underlying why that is going to be more compelling in the long term than your kind of shorter term aesthetic whys, okay? What's up, Alyssa and Mary? So take a moment, at some point today, and then, find some kind of visual reminder that will reinforce that real why on a daily basis. So maybe for you, it's a picture of you and a specific family member. Maybe it's, just a motivational quote that really speaks to you that you can have as a daily reminder, whether it's, on your bathroom mirror to kind of set the tone for the day, or maybe it's a picture that you keep on your work phone or on your phone, so that every time you go to open up your phone, you see that visual reminder. It's either a picture or some kind of motivational quote that will help keep that real why top of mind, okay? Maybe it's a picture of you and your kids, running around on the leaves or something like that, and it just reminds you that you want to stay vital as we continue to age and as our kids get older, and that you want to be able to keep up with your kids, okay? So think about that real why. And I'm going to ask you guys too, think about, if we're not necessarily motivated to make change right now, just think about a little action that you can take today to get the ball rolling, because we're not always going to feel motivated, but when we take action and we see a result from that action, that will motivate us, because we're going to see the positive result from that action. It will motivate us and propel us forward to take yet another action, and then we'll be able to rinse and repeat as much as possible, where, before you know it, the action becomes more of a habit. And then that habit just ensures that you are now folding in something that's healthy for you, that you can maintain for a lifetime. So life really is just the sum of your habits, right? Some habits are good, some habits help us thrive, and other habits, maybe they're not so good. Maybe we need to think about how we change some habits. But either way, your day is made up of multiple habits every day. So sometimes it is just a matter of swapping one habit for another. So I'm going to take you through a few different ways that you can either incorporate new habits or work towards breaking old habits with a few different techniques that I'll take you through. Just kind of like imagine your perfect day right now. So Coach Shannon gave me a couple of thoughts here that I wanted to share with you guys. What's up, Beth? What does that look like? If we look at our current selves and then we think about our ideal selves and what that perfect day would look like if we were already our ideal person, what would that day look like? And, think about being as elaborate as you want to be. If you want to be, living in a beach house in, Costa Mesa or something like that, and you're waking up every day and you're going for a long walk on the beach to start your day, and then you get home and you're greeted by your loving family that just gives you nice big warm hugs, and then you guys start to cook breakfast together, and everyone is not crabby, and the kids start getting ready for school, and then the kids are getting straight A's in school, and then you go off to pursue whatever you're passionate about, how does that day progress for you? So take a few moments again at some point in the day today to think about, what does that perfect day look like? What does that ideal future self look like? And what kind of habits would your ideal future self have? So I'll just use an example for myself. Before I became a trainer, I was in corporate. I wanted to be a trainer. I was always dispensing fitness advice to my friends. But I wasn't necessarily leading the life of a trainer at that point. So what I would tell myself is, as I progressed throughout the day, Sandra, if you were a personal trainer right now, would you be eating that? Is that what you would be telling your clients to eat? So you guys actually serve as a great motivation to me, right? Because, I want to lead that example for you. I want to lead by example. So I want to, lead the life that I'm expecting all of you guys to be leading. So when I don't do the things that I think my ideal self should be doing, then I have to step back and really think about, Sandra, is this really the path that you want to be going down? And I don't try and beat myself up too much, but I do at least identify, what can I do to turn it around at this point? All right, so what can I easily start to implement to get myself on the right track again? So for me, really the key to it all is meal preparation. And I'm not talking about those fancy Pinterest meals where you're, doing 20 meals at a time that are, very elaborate and take lots of time to cook. I'm talking about things like just making sure I have a protein ready to go in the fridge, making sure I have some chopped veggies in the fridge so that I can quickly put something together at any time of day that I want, so that I am eating the foods and leading the lifestyle that I know help me thrive and that help me set the example for you guys. So you guys definitely serve as a motivation for me. You guys definitely serve as accountability partners for me. So think about what that perfect day is and what little habits throughout the day would you have if you were already your ideal self. And that doesn't need to be some, faraway dream, all right? So we can definitely do things today to start redefining our current identity, and we need to start thinking in terms of positivity, and not constantly beating ourselves up, and not saying, I just heard today in camp today, the one gal was, struggling with doing one of the exercises, and granted, it was the more challenging exercise. It was the prisoner squat to jump squat. So a challenging exercise, right, guys? And I wouldn't expect anyone to nail it on the first try, but you need to, embrace that moment and know that, hey, I'm not at the point now where I can just go right into that, prisoner squat to jump or whatever it's called. But I'm going to be happy in the fact that I'm trying and that I'm making progress and I'm doing something to get one step closer to one day achieving and being able to perform that exercise. So real simple example, but think about little baby steps that you can do today to at least start moving the needle in the right direction and taking action instead of always thinking about it and being overwhelmed by this big hairy goal that you have in the future, and think about how you can dissect that goal into little baby steps so that every day you're getting one step closer. All right. And what you need to do there is make sure that you're, carving out a specific time of day to be able to do that. Right. So, for roosters, the guys and gals that go to the 5 a.m. camp, they come, first thing in the morning because they find that with all their other responsibilities that they have throughout the day, pretty much if they're going to get their workout in, the only time they're going to be able to get it in is if they do it first thing in the morning before the other demands of the day hit them. So they have done a very good job of blocking out time for themselves to focus on their health and fitness goals first thing in the morning. So if we have some kind of a healthy habit that we're trying to introduce, make sure that we have carved out a specific time of day to make that happen. For me in 2023, I'm trying to get better about, building the business. So I'm dedicating a certain amount of time from 2 to 4 p.m. where I'm going to be focused on, social media and events and marketing efforts. Okay. So that might look different for you guys. But the key thing here is health and fitness related. Guys, all you have to do is show up to camp. So pick a camp time that works for you and make sure you're showing up consistently. As far as the nutrition goes, make sure that we're earmarking a time, like maybe it's every Sunday morning, maybe it's every Wednesday evening, where we are carving out time to prep our food in bulk, make a huge batch of quinoa, make, cook up a couple of slabs of salmon at the same time. So you have salmon to go for your lunches for the next few days. Make a batch of roasted veggies at the same time. So, but you got to make sure you carve out that time and be consistent with it. Okay. Because the more practice reps that we get, the more that habit will be solidified and you'll be able to do it like it's back of hand. So frequency is definitely another key here as far as making sure that a habit sticks. It's not just a matter of, after 21 days, a habit sticks. If it's a habit that you only perform once a week, it's going to take longer than 21 days for it to stick. So there's no magic formula here, but obviously the more practice reps we get in, the more successful you're going to be, the more that habit is going to become very natural for you and automatic. And that's what we want to do with all our healthy habits, right? So let me just kind of do a check-in with you guys. What are you thinking so far? Is that all kind of making sense? I know I'm throwing a lot at you at the same time. But that's the direction we want to go with. We want to go with taking action, not letting our goals overwhelm us anymore, taking action, doing something that's going to move the needle in the right direction, and let it progressively build as you start to master each component of the habits that you're trying to build that will ultimately get you to your final goal. All right. So the more you can imagine yourself living your goals, the more real they're going to get. The more you, get those practice reps in on those healthy habits, the more automatic it's going to become. And day by day, you're going to get closer to your end results. But you got to just make those action steps and carve out that time every day. And here's one habit building strategy that I think works very well. You want to make sure that you're rewarding yourself and giving yourself grace and highlighting the positives as you're going along for the ride. Because there are going to be failures along the way, but you need to keep positive and give yourself little rewards where you can for the small victories that you achieve. So if you're currently struggling with making sure you get some type of movement in every day, then every day you take a camp right now, give yourself, maybe you can do something as small as like having one jar full of marbles over here and another jar that's empty over here. And every time you come in for camp, move the marble from one jar to the other so you can see, how you're building and accumulating over time. Or you could say, hey, if I make it to camp at least 3 times this week, then I'm going to reward myself with a pedicure at the end of the week, okay? Ideally, and if it's something where we're currently struggling with our food, then obviously don't make it a food reward. Make it something that's non-food related. Go get a pedicure, treat yourself to, go to the beach on Sunday and enjoy the nice weather. But think about how you can build in small rewards for yourself so that you keep building on that momentum, okay? Because, we're trying to build a lifestyle here. We're not looking at short-term goals. We're trying to build a lifestyle that's going to last us a lifetime and help us thrive long-term. So definitely have grace with yourself when we have those little bumps in the road, and don't let it derail you. And as long as we stay positive and we keep reinforcing the positives and congratulating ourselves for the positives, that is what's going to keep the train rolling. Okay, guys. And now let me challenge you for another little mental activity here. Think of, in the past year, 10 negative things that happened in your life. All right. And then think about 10 positive things that happened in your life. When you describe those negatives, what does that story sound like? Like if you only focused on the negative things that happened over the past year, what would that story sound like? It's probably going to be pretty depressing, isn't it? And then vice versa. If we tell a story and we only describe the positive things that happen, how would that story sound? That would sound like a pretty epic story, right? So I think, let me know if you agree. Do we, in general, tend to have a negative bias where maybe we beat ourselves up a little bit more on the negative things than maybe we praise ourselves for the positives? If you would say that maybe you fall into that category, give me like a thumbs up, okay? Because I will say I've definitely struggled with that as well. And I think we all go through seasons in our life where we tend to fixate on the negative and not focus on the positive enough. Okay, so I think we can all challenge ourselves a little bit to make sure that we shift that mindset to force ourselves to focus a bit more on the positives and downplay the negatives so that those negatives don't derail us from the ultimate goal. I think I kind of used this example a couple of times in camps this morning. I've heard the stat, and I don't know how true it is, but there's probably some validity to it. Think of like your most successful people on this planet. Your Bill Gates, and people like that. Do you think that on their first try that they were successful? No, I'm guaranteeing that they were not successful on their first try, and they probably fell flat on their face. But the difference with them is that they knew exactly where they wanted to go with their life, and they weren't going to let anything stand in their way, and they figured out a way to get back up and try again. So the supposed stat is your most successful people on the planet have failed big 9 times, and then on that 10th try, they finally were successful, and wildly successful at that. So it just goes to show you, and I heard like a podcast the other day where the guy said, I was in my 20s, I wanted to be wildly successful, I heard that stat, so in my mind, I just wanted to hurry up and get through those 9 failures before I could get to that 10th win. So, which I think is a really great way to look at those failures. A failure is an opportunity to learn, and when one door closes, another door is going to open, and it might open to something even better than that original door, guys. So never view a failure as an end-all be-all. You need to just kind of take it in stride, get right back up on that horse, and try again. And maybe you need to re-navigate that course. So if you're finding that you're doing the same thing and continuing to fail, let's be creative, think creatively about how we can change our approach and maybe circumvent that blockade in the road and find another path to success, okay? So think about that relative to your goals, and maybe we take a slightly different approach there. One real simple example that's not wildly related to being wildly successful, but one obstacle that I was finding that until I put the pieces together, it didn't really dawn on me. I had a hard time with meal prep whenever I didn't chop my veggies on Sunday. I just found that I was just so busy throughout the whole week that unless I chopped my veggies on Sunday, the veggies would sit there in the fridge and I wouldn't eat them because I would open up the fridge and I would see how, I would have to do about 20 minutes worth of work before I can even, start cooking the food. And I would just be so exhausted at the end of the day that I'm like, you know what, forget it. Let's just go out to eat something. But once I finally figured out, okay, why do I keep failing with this? Why do I not eat the healthy food that's sitting in the fridge? And it was because I just needed to make sure I, earmarked that time on Sundays to make sure I got my veggie chopping in and that I just did it consistently. And now I'm in that routine where I'm consistently chopping my veggies or I'm paying to get it pre-chopped, and recognizing the fact that if those veggies are not chopped and ready to go on Sunday, it's just not going to happen. All right. And so that was my way of kind of circumventing that blockade and finding another solution that's going to work for me and my current life situation. Okay. So, I challenge you guys to get creative with your solutions here. All right. So let's move on to the next thing here. But would you agree that overall that maybe we need to shift our mindset a little bit and focus more on the positives and take those negatives in stride? Give me a thumbs up if you think so. Let me know. And let me know, guys, as I go along here, if you have any questions or any specific scenarios that that you're struggling with, I'm willing to kind of, to work through those with you right here and now, because if you're struggling with that issue, then I bet you other people are struggling with that issue as well. So let's see here. We are the most successful people, again, you just build on those healthy habits. The problem in our society today is that, a lot of these habits that we have are centered around instant gratification. That's just the result of the way our society is, and it goes back to primal instinct days, right? So, in caveman days, if our most immediate need was to find food, and the minute we found a banana, then we were satisfied. We got instantly gratified because we, found some fuel to fuel our bodies, and then we were content. So our natural inclination is that we're living in the moment, right? We're looking for instant gratification. But the problem is that we really need to strike that balance of not necessarily living too much in the past, not living too much in the future, and not living too much in the present. So if we primarily live in the past, then we're going to be dwelling on things I wish I went back to my high school days. That's when it was so great. That's when I, weighed 120 pounds and everybody thought I was so cute. And I don't know, I'm just throwing out stuff here. And that's when life was going so good. And now that I have all these, I have this corporate job that I hate, and I, have these kids that I have to take care of. I have so many responsibilities. I just wish I could go back in time to when I didn't have those responsibilities and I could live carefree and I could eat whatever I wanted. I mean, that's great. It's great to, think about those memories and look back fondly on them, but you can't live in the past, because that's not going to enable you to be present and happy, and happy in the current time, right? So, and if we live too much in the present, you think about all those things in modern society that give us instant gratification. Think about Uber Eats, man. All you got to do is, pull up your phone and order some food, and then before you know it, that banana that in caveman days they would go hours searching for, it's delivered to your house, and all you have to do is open the door maybe 15 minutes after you order it. Instant gratification. And that food may or may not be healthy, right? Instant gratification with Netflix. All you got to do is turn on the TV and you're instantly entertained. We're not forced to have to really entertain ourselves anymore. It's provided for us instantly. We're instantly gratified and content. We don't have to actually work hard to get that instant gratification. And then, even things like smoking, gambling, things like that. Obviously, you're indulging in a habit that's giving you instant gratification. But then if you think about something like smoking, you're getting satisfied in the moment, but it's going to have a negative impact down the road, right? It's going to affect your health down the road. So while in the moment you feel, relaxed or less stressed after you smoke a cigarette, but down the road, if we continue to smoke cigarettes, you're going to have health complications. So that's why, we want to build in a healthy habit to maybe kick that cigarette smoking habit. But it's not easy because we've already had so many practice reps with smoking that cigarette. And we've already made that association with how we feel good, and we get that little dopamine hit in our head. It's hard to undo that habit because it's so ingrained and we've performed it so frequently. So our challenge in modern society is that maybe we need to be focusing a little bit more on our future goals, but you don't want to be focusing so much on your future goals that you also lose sight of happiness in the present, right? You don't want to be so focused in delaying instant gratification. Let's say, you want to save up for that dream house. So you are putting off buying a new pair of shoes, buying new outfits, new clothes. So you're delaying that instant gratification for gratification down the road when you can buy that dream house. But you need to find that happy medium where you're not, totally, not giving yourself any kind of positive reinforcements or any indulgences, because then you're not going to be happy in the moment. All right. And all you're going to be thinking about is the future and being miserable in the present. Right. So we need to find that happy medium where we force ourselves to look at those future goals that we know are going to make us happy, that we know are going to make us healthier, and figure out little habits that we can implement or associate with current habits, where we can build in those habits, but it's not that challenging because it's already associated to another habit we're already doing. So let's say, your goal is you want to make sure you come to camp every day, and but you dread it, and it's not what you do, but it's healthy for you. So, tie that with something else. Okay, if I go to camp today, then I'll give myself a treat with like a fancy protein shake, and I'm going to throw some banana in there and some peanut butter in there. Figure out something where you can tie it to something that you view as rewarding or positive when you do that healthy habit that maybe you're not looking forward to as much right now. So, if let's say you want to have a piece of chocolate, but you should have your veggies first. Eat your veggies first, and then tell yourself, okay, if I eat these veggies, then I can give myself a piece of chocolate. So tie it together with something else that is so the verbiage, what that's considered is temptation bundling. It's one of the techniques in this Atomic Habits book, right, guys? So think about maybe those less healthy habits that you want to try and maybe minimize and use them to your advantage by bundling it with a goal that you want to be doing daily that will help you get closer to your health and fitness goals or just your overall lifetime goals. And bundle those healthy habits that you're trying to incorporate with something else that you're already doing that you consider a positive reward. okay? And then over time, you're going to start to associate those two habits together, and then it's going to become automatic. All right. So think about, how you can plan your day to where you can build in those times or those habits, and to where you can give yourself a little reward at the end if you actually complete that habit. All right. And initially, maybe we make it a 2-minute rule. So tell yourself, if they use an example of a person in the book here where the guy said, I want to be the type of person that works out every day. But he was very unmotivated initially. So he just told himself, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym for 5 minutes every day. And then regardless of what it is, I'm going to leave after 5 minutes. So if you need to break it down into a smaller baby step and say, I know I should be walking every day, but I just, it overwhelms me to think about walking for 10 minutes, or overwhelms me to think about walking for 30 minutes in a day, or to make sure I get my 10,000 steps in a day. Tell yourself that you're going to put on your shoes and that you're going to open up the door and at least see the sunshine. And maybe initially it's just putting on your shoes and seeing the sunshine, and maybe you're just taking a couple of steps and then you come right back in. And then commit to doing that every day. Look, I can do this. It's only going to take me 2 minutes, and then I can stop. But then obviously what you're going to find is over time that, with more of those practice reps, you're going to get to the point where you're like, you know what? It's not so bad. I'll take a few more steps today. Maybe I'll make it a 5-minute walk today instead of a 2-minute walk. All right. And then over time, as you make it a sustainable thing, you start to build on it, and then it becomes longer and longer and longer. So think about how you can break down these big, hairy, audacious goals, break them down into simpler steps, and don't feel overwhelmed by it, and break it down into bite-sized chunks that are very realistic for you at this point in time. Don't automatically try and reinvent the wheel overnight, because we all know that that's not sustainable, okay? So use that. That can be another technique that you use. Give yourself the 2-minute rule, and then once we master that, see if you can slowly build on that over time. And either way, with that guy that was going to the gym every 5 minutes, or for 5 minutes a day, his goal was to be the type of person that worked out every day. And he was, even though it was only 5 minutes, he still was achieving his goal, okay? And then, of course, over time, as you would suspect, it got to the point where he was doing full workouts, and then he was achieving his bigger, longer term goals of being a healthier person. And then, of course, now he's at the point where it's an automatic that he's working out and getting some type of movement in every day. All right. So let's kind of think about that in terms of, let's say, eating no processed foods. Maybe that's a difficult task for you. Break it down into something easier. So like in the nutrition challenge, what I've challenged you guys with is this week, you're just going to read the labels. That's it. I'm not even telling you that you can't eat those foods this week. Of course, for the bigger challenge, if you're already past that point, and this is more of a bunny slope for you, then feel free to move on to that next step, because you do need to tailor this challenge to what works for you and where you're at on your fitness journey. But if you need to right now and you're not able to necessarily minimize your processed foods as much, then just focus on, I'm going to have be cognizant of what I'm putting in my body. So I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but let's say, look, I've got a loaf of bread here. And look, it says Nature's Own. It looks so healthy. There's wheat in it. It looks so healthy. But I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the ingredients now. And it's got unbleached, enriched flour in it. So that sounds processed. They're adding vitamins and minerals to it, which if it was healthy on its own, they wouldn't have to add these vitamins and minerals to it. It's because the ultra processed version of the flour that they're using here, they're actually having to add those vitamins. And science does show that adding some of those vitamins actually increases your appetite, because it's in levels that are not found in nature. So they pretty much know what they're doing when they add these additional minerals and nutrients to these foods. Whole wheat flour, honey, we've got gluten in there, sugar, wheat bran. And actually this one's not too bad, other than the fact that I do see soybean oil, calcium sulfate, distilled monoglycerides, monocalcium phosphate, ascorbic acid, which that is just vitamin C, and then soy lecithin. So I will say, in the grand scheme of things, this particular bread isn't terrible, but would I still like you to try out an Ezekiel bread, and it's going to be even less processed than this? Yes, I would definitely like for you to get a less processed bread. And what makes this the worst is the unbleached, enriched flour, where they've stripped the grain out of the germ out of the wheat, and it's going to spike that glycemic index more than other breads will. Your Ezekiel bread, your sprouted grain bread, is going to do a better job of minimizing that blood glucose spike. But worst case scenario, if we have one slice of this bread, there definitely are worse breads that are just that pure white bread. So this one's not terrible. I'm going to say this is middle ground somewhere, especially if we're just starting out. But let me show you this guy, where this one is a paleo bread, okay? And the ingredients on this one: water, eggs, flaxseed, raisin, arrowroot flour, cashew butter, almond flour, psyllium powder, husk powder, which is just a form of fiber, apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, coconut oil, sea salt, baking soda, applesauce, and that's it. You can actually understand 100% of the ingredients in this one, and I'm going to bet that the fiber is way higher. You got 3 grams of fiber here, and you've got less than 1 gram of fiber in this one. All right. This one has 9 grams of carbs per slice of bread. This one has 13, so not terribly higher here. But again, if we were to compare it to white bread, you're going to see that you're going to have a lot more ingredients in there that you don't understand, and you're going to have those ultra processed forms of the flour that are going to cause those huge blood sugar spikes. And this one, let's just see, 3 grams of protein. Oh, this one actually has 3 grams of protein as well. So, but all I'm challenging you with this week is actually reading the labels and starting to be more conscientious of what the food that we're consuming actually contains, all right? And then next week, we'll start to build onto that, where I'm going to challenge you to, not purchase or consume those foods that have ingredients that you can't understand, all right? And again, the rule is no more than 5 ingredients. I will say this one does have more than 5 ingredients, but they're all 100% recognizable ingredients. So I would say that this one is definitely, we could probably sneak this one in as a non-processed food, just because you can actually understand all the ingredients in here. So that's going to be the challenge for this week. And then next week, we're going to build on that by challenging you with no alcohol, because that's going to be kind of like a low-hanging fruit for you guys, and with the biggest bang for your buck. If we're able to eliminate alcohol for the next 6 weeks, even if you change nothing else, you will see, if you're currently drinking more than once a week, more than a couple of glasses of wine or bottles of beer per week, you're going to see huge changes in your body composition just by making that change alone. And then after that, I'm going to challenge you with no added sugars. So we're going to slowly build on your successes every week, guys, so that we can set you up for success, and we're getting our practice reps in, and we're making long-term sustainable changes. So let's see here. Habit building. After the alcohol and the no added sugars, we're going to challenge you to no more than 50 grams of sugar total. But guys, honestly, if we're a few weeks into that challenge and we're already eating primarily non-processed foods, and we're getting our sugar in the form of fruits and vegetables and things like that, you're not going to have to worry about tracking your 50 grams at all. And then, again, as we get closer to the end, I'm going to challenge you to no more than 2 processed foods per day, and then down to no more than 1 processed food per day. And then finally, that last week, as I said, on Saturday's kickoff, I'm going to call that Hell Week. You're not going to be allowed to have any kind of processed foods other than your protein supplement. And that's exactly why I consider the protein powder a supplement to ensure that you hit your protein goals. But again, look at what, your current life situation, what is currently achievable with all the other things that you have on your plate, and think about what on that challenge is considered, from your perspective, what's considered a bunny slope and what's considered a black diamond. If what I've challenged you with reading the labels this week is a very easy bunny slope, then I'm going to challenge you to hit fast forward and go and start with next week's focus, which is the no alcohol, and start with your no alcohol now, because the sooner you can implement these changes, the more results you're going to get. But I want you to tailor it to fit where you're at in your current life situation and all the other responsibilities that you have on your plate. So if for this week you just need to only read the labels and let that sink in for a week, I totally get that. That's exactly why I have you starting there. But on the flip side, I don't want you starting with a black diamond either. So I don't want you necessarily cutting to, all right, I've been eating out every day, I've been eating all kinds of processed foods, and now starting today, I want to win that challenge, I'm going to go to no processed foods whatsoever. Because we all know that that's not going to be realistic considering your starting point for a whole 7-week challenge. All right, guys? So think about that happy medium and trust the process, and let your progress slowly build on each other so that we can set ourselves up for success long term. So another strategy that we can implement is habit tying. And it's kind of along the same lines of temptation bundling. You're associating a new healthy habit with a current habit that you already have. So for me, one just real simple example that I have is I realized that, what set me up for success was tweaking my almost like evening, nighttime routine and optimizing that. So every time when I come home and I bring my bag in and I've got all my dirty Tupperware from the meal prep that I did the day before, what sets me up for success is the minute I get through the door, I unpack everything, put all the empty Tupperware in the sink, and I start rinsing it out right away. So I have associated or tied the habit of washing my Tupperware with coming home from the gym, okay? And then from there, because I've already rinsed it, I just fill it up for the next day. So I get my meal prep done as soon as I come home from my day so that I'm all set for the next day. And then another tying habit that I've created for myself is when I go to brush my teeth at night, because I start my day so early, after I brush my teeth, I pick out my workout clothes for the next day. So these are great little habits that I think all of you could benefit with. If you don't currently do it and you start your day very early, you tend to, even though we're tired at the end of the day, we tend to have a little bit more time to tackle those little tasks that will save you a minute here, a minute there, so that you're not scrambling first thing in the morning and getting your cortisol levels all whacked out because you're all stressed out. You can't find the matching sock because you're running around in the dark trying not to wake up everyone in the house. So, think about little easy things like that you could do in the evening that you tie into another maybe nighttime routine that sets you up for success the next day. Okay, so and that one's called habit tying. So, and again, I've been doing it on autopilot for so long now, I just don't even think about it. And it just sets me up for success instantly. And if for some reason I don't get a chance to do those things, I will start out the day very stressed, and I get thrown way off whack. And you don't want to see me in camp when that happens. But you know what? If that day happens, I'm not going to let it derail me. I'm just going to start the process again the very next opportunity I get to do so. So kind of going back to the temptation bundling, give me some thoughts on some rewards that you could incorporate, and use that notes section on the right-hand side of your Nail Your Nutrition packet to notate like a reward that you could give yourself if you achieve one of those healthy habits, or maybe if you achieve all 10 healthy habits each day. Could you drop $1 in a savings jar, and every day that you achieve your goals, you're going to drop $1 in there, and if you got 40, or maybe you make it $10 every day or $5 every day, whatever dollar amount it is, and it's a fund that's going to go specifically towards something at the end of the challenge. Maybe it's going to, go towards a cruise later on in the year. Have it be something that you look forward to, and that is going to give you motivation to actually take action on those healthy habits that you want to do, so that you can reward yourself with that later. Maybe it's just something as simple as a soak in the tub at the end of the week. So think about something that is going to, get you motivated, that maybe is that little dangling carrot that you can give yourself initially while you get those practice reps in until it becomes automatic. And then, you won't necessarily have to do that. Or if it's something that's healthy, keep doing that. Keep doing that reward process. Maybe it's something like a yoga session or something like that, or a pedicure. If you guys have any ideas on some simple rewards that you think are creative and might help others, share it. Share it in the comments here. I'd love to hear them. Now, so we're talking about building healthy habits, but how do we break bad habits? So, with a healthy habit, again, we're associating it with another current habit, but, and that provides the stimulus for us to engage in that healthy habit. But if we're trying to break a bad habit, we need to do the reverse, right? So we need to remove the stimulus that is causing us to engage in that bad habit. So maybe, we are, let's say we pass an ice cream shop on the way home from work, and we tend to stop at that ice cream shop every day on our way home. Well, how can we break that bad habit? Find another route home to where you don't see that ice cream shop. I'm using kind of a strange example, but you get the idea. Let's say we work from home, and we find that we're snacking a lot instead of having proper meals at home, because maybe the way we have our computer set up at home, we're at an arm's length to the pantry, and we have things in that pantry that we're tempted by. So whenever we need a little mental break, we stop where we're at and we go over to the pantry and we pull out the cookies or we pull out the crackers, and we know we shouldn't be doing it, but we need a little mental break, and that's what's working for right now, but it's not helping you with your healthy habits, right? So in that situation, number one, you can remove those items from your pantry that you're tempted by, so that you don't have that as a stimulus there anymore. It's not in your visual line of sight, so you're not tempted by it anymore. And in order for you to actually get that food, you need to physically drive out and buy it. Another thing is just changing your environment. So even though maybe we're still working at home, but maybe we set our, create a space specifically for work. Maybe some of us work in our kitchen, and that's why we're so tempted by the food that's in the kitchen. If that's the case for you, change your environment. I know Kyla was just saying the other day that in order for her to be able to stay focused, she's actually made a point to go out to a coffee shop. And it just removes her from her home environment so that she can just really stay focused while she's out at whatever coffee shop or whatever it is. And that has become an environment where she can stay focused and she's not tempted by anything. So think about how you can change your current environment so that you're not getting exposed to that stimulus. Another example, let's just say, I don't think any of us are smokers, but I'm just using it as an example. A lot of people that smoke, they tend to have that bad habit of, after you have lunch, you go out for a cigarette break. So after we have lunch, we can use that habit tying technique where we just automatically decide to go for a walk. And maybe we go out the front door of the building instead of the back door, so that we don't have that visual trigger that becomes that stimulus to where we start to crave those cigarettes. Okay, so think about how you can remove the stimulus, change your environment so that you're set up for success and you're not tempted by that stimulus that is triggering you to engage in that unhealthy habit. So I know I've thrown a lot at you as far as building healthy habits and breaking bad habits. So what do you guys think so far? Have you come up with any ideas for how you can tweak a little habit here or there, use some of those techniques, the tying habit, the temptation bundling, removing the stimulus, changing the environment, and positive reinforcement. So one of the things that I'm going to have set up for you guys at the gym is, when you hit all 10 things on your tracker, I want you to come in the next day and give yourself a gold star. It's just another form of positive reinforcement. And I know Coach Chase is really excited about everyone getting their gold stars for achieving all the things. Because I think you guys will agree, all the things that I'm asking you for on that tracker, if they're relatively easy to mark time out in your day for them. And if, let's just say the 10-minute walking, if that's too much for you guys, or you have a job where you physically cannot do that, I'm honestly okay with you doing 50 to 100 squats, 50 to 100 jumping jacks. It doesn't matter. The point is that you're moving your body after you eat so that your body properly uptakes that glucose and stores that energy in your muscles as opposed to storing it as fat. That's the thought behind that one. So you don't necessarily have to do a 10-minute walk if you absolutely cannot, but just have, build in that habit tying technique of incorporating some kind of physical movement right after you eat so that your body can optimize in digesting that food and utilizing it as energy instead of storing it as fat. Okay. One other thing, the workouts on Sunday. Yes, we're closed on Sunday. So even if you come to burn 6 days a week, the question did come up, valid point. You can count active recovery as your workout on Sundays. Okay. And for the tracker purposes, if you can't make it to camp, but you're able to get in a 30-minute walk, a 30-minute bike ride, for tracker purposes, I will let you count that as a workout too. But obviously, ideally, I'd love to see you in camp as often as possible. So, but on Sundays, think about active recovery oriented movement. So focus on your mobility. Maybe pull up the Burn YouTube channel, Burn Bootcamp YouTube channel, pull up one of the yoga sessions and do yoga. Make it a family event. I saw Taylor the other day. She did some goat yoga. Maybe get some Burn brothers and Burn sisters together and do some goat yoga together. And that can serve as another reward for having, hitting on all the things all week long. Focus on foam rolling. Do a 30-minute walk where you're just maybe find a podcast that you find motivating and kind of use that as your form of meditation. Or we can do meditation. Whatever it is, I will let you count that as a workout, but let it be something that you consider an active recovery where you're still getting your movement in, or maybe it's more of a mental exercise with the meditation, so that you can count that towards your workout and it's something healthy that you've done for yourself. It doesn't need to be a 45-minute run or 1,000 burpees. By no means whatsoever. You need at least one active recovery day throughout the week. So let Sunday be that day for you. But just record some kind of movement, and you can make a note of what you did in the notes section there. And guys, if you need ideas for how to incorporate a savory breakfast, or if you need ideas for how to incorporate those veggies into your lunches and your dinners, or for your snacks, make sure you follow me on Instagram for meal ideas. Follow my stories. I'll be posting my meals on the stories every day, just to kind of serve as another way to share with you guys and give you guys inspiration and pay it forward. So if you're not currently following me, my name is yolofit.sandra on Instagram, and you can follow my stories there to just kind of see like what my typical day of eating looks like. And I said it in the kickoff, I was able to, just by simply implementing that order of eating where I eat my veggies first, eat the protein second, and then honestly, fats just kind of get incorporated throughout, especially if you're eating a salad first, you're going to be eating the fat with your veggies, and that's okay. But as long as you focus on eating your veggies first and then kind of mixing in the protein as you're consuming your veggies, and then end your meal with that starchy carb, I was able to see more results than I thought I was going to. I implemented that order of eating change to my nutrition game plan throughout the month of December with all the holiday festivities going on. And I will tell you, I was shocked that I went down 4 pounds of fat and my body fat percentage decreased 2%. So I'm actually, I set a goal for myself for this challenge specifically, and I'm actually only like 1% away from my goal. So I'm going to actually, challenge myself more and give myself more of a challenge. But it works, guys. So I know it kind of sounds silly, but I think the big change for me was it's kind of like a habit tying thing. I've always been really good about making sure I get my protein in, but I was definitely finding where I was on the run, I wasn't meal prepping the way I wanted to, and I would make sure I got my chicken in or my protein shake in, but I wasn't necessarily making sure I got enough veggies in. So just by simply telling myself I need to eat in this order, it forced me to get more veggies in, and I'm finding that my body's responding well to it, and I think it's due to the fact that I'm getting more of those good micronutrients in those veggies, and I'm just getting more volume of the veggies now because I'm making more of a concerted effort to make sure I'm getting it in at the start of each meal. And I'll be honest, my breakfast never had veggies in it, so and having those veggie omelets now, I think, has made a huge change as well. Before I was just only doing boiled eggs. That was it for my breakfast. So I think by simply changing to a veggie egg white omelet, and then making a concerted effort to have veggie at the start of each meal subsequent, has made a huge difference in how my body has responded, and my body is now more optimized than it has been because I finally found that mix that's working. Okay, so let me know. Any questions so far, guys? Thank you guys for joining me during, hopefully this is your lunch break and you're, getting some lunch in, or maybe you're already onto your 10-minute walk. Next week we're going to take a deep dive on carbs. We're going to look more at reading nutrition labels. And I'm going to give you some tips on tracking in MyFitnessPal. But one last thing regarding reading labels, this I thought was a really blatant one that I wanted to share with you guys. It's, I took for granted, and I don't want to put this restaurant down, but I had catered some food from this restaurant, and they actually make their own dressing, and they're really good about using like whole food ingredients. So I took it for granted that their dressing was clean. But then, of course, afterwards, when I looked at the ingredients in the dressing, to my surprise and shock, the base of this dressing is actually made out of canola oil. So don't just because something, look, it says creamy avocado balsamic dressing. So I thought for sure like the base of it is avocado, and I guess maybe I just automatically assumed olive oil, right? Or maybe even just avocado oil. No, there is avocado oil in it. And here's a tip too. The higher up the ingredient is on the ingredient listing, the higher proportion of it that it is in that food. Okay, so the primary ingredient listed first is water, which isn't terrible, and then balsamic vinegar, which is good, but then right after that vegetable oil. So you definitely want to make sure that we're reading these dressings, these marinades, these sauces, and making sure that we're picking up ones that do not have vegetable oil, canola oil, or soybean oil. It does list olive oil and avocado in there, but only after the vegetable oil. So I definitely got duped on this one. So that's why I'm challenging you guys to read the labels this week. Now, one other one that's a better option here is really anything Primal Kitchen, right? So when I look at the ingredients on here, first one, avocado oil, water, organic apple cider vinegar, stone ground mustard, organic mustard seeds, organic vinegar, salt, organic spices, organic honey, organic lemon juice concentrate, and sea salt. So these are all ingredients that you can understand, and no highly processed oils at all in here. Was this more expensive for them to make and more expensive for us to buy relative to this? Yes, but the payoff is that we're going to have less inflammation and more longevity and vitality in our lives, guys. So it's worth the extra money, I promise. All right. So with that, I will leave you on that note. We'll take a deeper dive on carbs. And I think that's where, it probably makes sense to take a deeper dive with little tips and tricks related to how to quickly log your food in MyFitnessPal. But I think the focus for this week is don't worry about repeating meals. Keep it simple this week. Don't feel like you need to have a Pinterest-worthy, different hour-and-a-half prepped meal every night. For it to be healthy for you, it can be as simple as, batch cooking the veggies, batch cooking your chicken, making a batch of quinoa or rice or whatnot, and literally throwing it all together on a plate, and bing, bang, boom, you're done for the day. And maybe we have that same meal for the next day or two, and it's not a big deal. All right, start with keeping it simple, and then we're going to build on it over time and start to take your training wheels off. All right, guys? So let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if you found this helpful. And we're going to continue to do this every Monday at 12:15. So I'd love to have you guys continue to join us live. But if not, no worries, catch the replay. And I will see you soon, guys. You guys are awesome. And I want to see some gold stars tomorrow. All right? Have a good one. Bye.